let's go ahead and get to TikTok deciding that they're going to install an IDF censor in their organization to make sure that there isn't, anti-Semitism, quote unquote, on the platform. Let's put this up on the screen. This is so incredibly wild. So the headline here is TikTok hires, quote, proud American Jew to tackle anti-Semitism on the platform. Appointment of Erica Mindell comes amid growing concerns over online Jew hate. They go on to say that her role will include developing and driving the company's positions on hate speech, ensuring alignment with global regulations, so like that bullshit anti-Semitism definition that was codified here in the US, industry standards and best practices, spearhead long-term policy strategies that position the company as an industry leader in combating online hate speech and analyzing hate speech trends, focusing on anti-Semitic content. And, what doesn't get mentioned in this particular headline is the fact that she is a former IDF reservist. She made Aliyah after college, joined the IDF.
Wait, she made Aliyah?
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right, can we all explain to people what that is? That's when you're an American Jew and you go home to Israel. That's what the right to return is for any Jew in the world. Listen, be my guest, all right? But maybe you should lose your citizenship, just saying, if you're willing to do that and go serve in the IDF. If you feel so called by your religion to go and live in a foreign country, I wish you the best, but you should give up your passport and forever.
Yeah.
And, just my personal opinion. I would hope that everybody, but I mean, look, let's all be honest, dude. Those are the most dedicated, like pro-Israel Zionists.
Yeah, just like the converts,
If you were born in this country and you say, I feel compelled because of my religion to go and be a citizen of a foreign nation and to go serve in that other country, how, in what world are you ever loyal to this? You literally gave up yours, theoretically you gave up your citizenship. You feel called to go somewhere else. Then go. Why are you involved with us at all? Apparently, that's a controversial position. So, Crystal, can you now support my effort to ban TikTok? Now that you have Libs, let's be honest, you were all
I was gonna make a joke about it. Like, yeah, maybe I could get on board
You were
with this
all
TikTok.
on my side whenever we were talking about this pre-Israel. All right, liberals, everybody was, because it was never about free speech. It's about Chinese control and large foreign control, not just Chinese, of our powerful technology platforms, which should be liable to U.S. law and should have at least some transparency, which, yes, I understand Meta, Google, and all of those others, but we could regulate them if we want. We can't do the same with TikTok. So now that they have their pro-IDF censor, join me, all right? I've been over here for a long time, since 2019. Let's kill it. Let's get it done. I don't think Trump will do this, especially now. Now it's pro-Israel, and it was supposedly pro-Trump. Although I wonder what the vibe is on TikTok these days, what the political vibe is.
Oh, it's not pro-Trump.
But then why was it so? Why was it so pro-Trump?
Well, I mean, just look at the way that young people have shifted.
Yeah, true.
Like, I mean, young men in particular. He's had the biggest fall from grace with young men as literally any demographic. So, no, I mean, the TikTok fuss, I always remember back to Nikki Haley citing on the debate stage, like 10 minutes on TikTok makes you 50% more anti-Semitic. I'm butchering the numbers here, but it was something ridiculous like that. And there are still Israelis and Israeli Hasbaras who believe that their only problem is like a messaging problem, and their only problem is like a social media problem. And Netanyahu said something like this in the Milk Boys interview, something like, the lie gets around the world before the truth can possibly catch up. And it's like, no, actually the problem that you have is that people can see the truth. And TikTok has been an important part of that. It's not anti-Semitic, but that has been an important part of the rapidly shifting consciousness with regard to Israel. I mean, Israel has lost young people across the board, regardless of political affiliation. Like, it is done. It is over. The only group that still backs Israel are boomer Republicans, and they're not on TikTok. So, but it's not just TikTok. I mean, I'm not really on TikTok, and it's obviously all over Twitter. It's all over, Instagram. I mean, you can pick your social media platform, and people are able to watch video, YouTube, wherever you are. So, I think they continue to believe that they can censor and shut down criticism of Israel, and that ship that ship has sailed.
I still think
it's over.
I hate to say though, I still think that their strategy is correct because at this point, what else are they going to do? And what I mean by that is, at this point, the long-term political support for Israel, that's dead. Don't we all
Toast.
agree? Right?
Yeah.
It's done. So if that's true, then what should you do? You should use the moment when your political system is the most captured and accelerate the Greater Israel Project.
That's what they're doing.
And that's
exactly
genuinely
what
what's
they're doing.
happening.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
We're going to annex Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, as much of it as possible, kill as many Palestinians as we can get. Yeah, bomb Iran. Let's
Yeah, that's
settle.
right.
It's literally like a final solution.
No,
I'm choosing my words carefully,
is.
but it
No,
is. Like,
that's
it's
right.
a final projection of the Greater Israel Project, the
right.
patch, by the way, worn by the IDF, and means what? It means that at that point, what U.S. president is going to roll it back after this, no matter what. It's not going to happen. So they know that. And so in a certain way, like, they're doing.
No, they realize their
Yeah.
time is limited.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're going for it.
Yeah.
They are going for it. And so far, no one with any power has done anything to stop them.
And I don't think they will. I mean,
know.
again, even if there's an anti-Zionist future president, like, what are we going to do? Invade Syria to roll back the IDF? Like, it's not going to happen, okay? Like, that's my point. And broadly, the Arab powers seem okay with it. I don't know what's going on over there, but they're like,
Well,
okay.
I mean, because
you
they're
know?
all bought off by us as
Yeah,
well. I mean,
they're
how much
bought
Egypt
too,
gets so much aid from us, Jordan. Like, these are, these are just client states as well. Like, they're paid to accept the Israeli state and whatever Israel wants to do. That's their whole role in the region, after the Camp David Accords with Egypt. That basically, like, cut off any sort of, like, Arab national resistance.
Right, $3.3 billion a year. It's an impoverished country. They need the money. They need the military aid. I don't know. The whole situation is crazy.
Yeah, no, it is. All right, so there was an incident that unfolded at Florida State University. This was in the gym. Apparently, there was some dude wearing an IDF T-shirt, which is wild. And another student was not too impressed with his choice of attire. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this played out.
Fuck Israel, free Palestine, put it on fucking Barstool FSU. I really don't give a fuck. You're an ignorant fucking son of a bitch.
Okay,
So
that's the incident.
there you go.
All right, so why are we even talking about this? All right, why are we talking about this? This reminds me of the 2014 era, right? 2014, 2015. I found a noose in my dorm room. National news story. Oh my God, racism, blah, blah. We're gonna start a commission. Oh my God, some sexual assault allegation, kangaroo court, mattress girl. Everybody remember that? National story. Well, why are we litigating this? Now, nobody's defending the behavior of this young lady, okay? Well, look, okay.
Some people are defending
All
it,
right,
but
fine. I don't think reasonable people think that that's generally how people should act in a gym or whatever. Although I will say, as you said, wearing an IDF t-shirt in a gym, that's a statement. At the gym that I go to, there's a guy who wears a Ukrainian shirt from the Azov battalion. I mean, would it be unreasonable for somebody to be like, hey man, that's a Nazi t-shirt, just so you know.
Let me just state my position to be clear, because I don't support violence.
Yeah, exactly.
So everything she said, no problem.
Right.
The shove, okay, I wouldn't do that. Keep your, you keep your hands to yourself.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Don't go violent.
That's right.
I think that people wearing IDF T-shirts, which are, which is celebrating a genocide, I think they should be shamed. I think they should feel that there's going to be social, societal consequences for wearing that shirt in public. I do support that.
Reasonable position, free country. Can we all agree with that? All right, we should take a poll. Should I say something to the Azov battalion guy in my gym? I have not said anything. I've remarked on it. I go, hey, am I the only person who sees this? I was like, this is crazy.
He literally has an Azov
battalion. Azov battalion shirt. It's nuts. Anyway.
Wow, that's a choice. That is a choice.
I agree. I'm like, yo, this is a Nazi battalion.
It's one thing,
am I the only person who knows
a Ukraine
this?
T-shirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Azov battalion.
Azov battalion.
Wearing an Israeli shirt, I also don't think is acceptable. But you're wearing an IDF T-shirt. Yeah. Again, that is a choice.
It's a statement. All right, let's get to this. So why does anybody care about this at all? So Florida State put out a statement. Here's what they said. I'm going to read it from you. Florida State University is actively addressing the altercation. The FSU Police Department interviewed the two students. The matter is being reviewed for potential criminal charges under the FSU Student Code of Conduct. And it looks like it's leading towards an expulsion. Fine. Nobody should care about this anymore. Well, the Attorney General of the United States says, thank you, President McCullough of the university, for your leadership and prompt action. Anti-Semitism will not be tolerated in Florida or anywhere else. She tags a bunch of people who are working at the DOJ, including in this civil rights division, and says, my U.S. attorney are now investigating this. So they are investigating this as some sort of federal hate crime. Now, once again, I want to reiterate, this is just as nuts as during the racial panic of the 2010s. Whenever the federal government and other were coming in and were like, oh, we're gonna preempt this. Well, I wouldn't go that far. Things got pretty crazy for a while. But my point is just that this is just like the Department of Anti-Racism and all this other stuff, you know, all fantasized by Ibrahim Kendi. I mean, just recently, there's a coffee shop in California. Look, I'm not gonna defend it. They've had some drink which celebrated October 7th. And like actually did. They like named it after October 7th, after the leader of Hamas. Okay, I mean, fine, you know, boycott it, whatever. There was 2 guys in there who got harassed. I don't support that. People who were Jewish. But they're being investigated and targeted by the DOJ Civil Rights Division for this is a local matter in California, all right? Let's leave it to the justice system. It's a state, local, this does not need to be a national story. It's just like going after that baker for not, you know, for refusing to bake cakes for the gays, who, by the way, sought him out and sought that legal battle in the courts, just so everybody is aware. But that's my point, is that they're trying to weaponize the federal government to come in and like preempt and use like the highest federal statute levels, which were designed, I mean, let's think about it. These these hate crime laws and all this, these were designed for like lynchings. These were designed for like completely out of control, like a Jim Crow South society or, you know, the KKK or something like high level prosecution, not some altercation in a student gym in Florida. And of course, I'm sure they'll be like, oh, what are you saying? You defend it? No, it's a state matter, local matter. Well, leave it alone.
Here's the thing. Okay, first, just to lodge my disagreement on the gay baker situation, I don't think you should be able to discriminate against people based on their
these guys,
based on their sexuality.
What, these guys had to drive 60 miles out of their way to go get their cake from this guy?
It's about the principle. But I do think it's different because here's the thing: they're trying to claim this is anti-Semitic. I don't even know if this guy wearing the IDF t-shirt was Jewish. They don't say.
They said he was Jewish.
I have no idea, and there's no indication this person knew his religion. Like, you can object to the actions of the IDF without being anti-Semitic. So that's number one. Number two, even with regard to the expulsion, I want to know if Florida State really expels every single person who ever like shoves anyone on their campus.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Is that a consistent standard? Because I really kind of doubt it. So, consistent standards should be applied. But the reason I say this is more insane than anything we've seen in the past is because obviously this is not just about Florida State University. And by the way, Randy Fine tweeted that this lady who said the fuck Israel, free Palestine thing, that she was a Muslim terrorist. You have a member of Congress who is calling this girl on a college campus a Muslim terrorist because she objects to what the IDF is doing here. But this is a nationwide witch hunt for fake anti-Semitism. And we can go ahead and put D5 up on the screen. Some of the quote-unquote anti-Semitism training, you guys gotta read this article because I am not gonna do it justice. It is insane, the things that freshmen coming in are being forced, like this propaganda struggle session bullshit that they're being forced to endure. So they focus in particular on Northwestern, which is under multiple federal investigations for alleged anti-Semitism. They said that they are implementing a training that will adhere to federal policy. And so again, all those people who said this codification of the anti-Semitism definition wasn't going to be a big deal, wrong, completely wrong, because that's what they're talking about when they're using that codified definition of anti-Semitism for this completely insane training. So one of the things they do, they lay out 10 hypothetical anti-Semitic and anti-Israel situations, why the ADL views them as a problem and advises students on how to respond. So again, this was all developed by the ADL. One scenario explains why someone spray painting swastikas on a Jewish fraternity home is a problem. Yeah, that's a problem. That is anti-Semitic. That is a problem. I don't know that you needed a training to know that, but okay. I will
say also, though, half the time, by the way, again, GW, the original home of one of these scares, one of the OG fake fakeries was this girl in one of our dorms saying, somebody keeps drawing a swastika on my whiteboard and I'm discriminated against. So they installed a camera. Oh, she was actually doing it the whole time. All right, I'm just saying.
Wasn't there some very Weiss anti-Semitic graffiti incident? Am I remembering that correctly?
I'm not aware.
Anyway,
I'm just saying a lot of times
legit,
it's fake.
Okay, let's just say if it's legit. Okay, that is anti-Semitic. That is a problem. Don't draw swastikas. Don't do that. Okay, here's the next example they give, which they equate to being the same as drawing swastikas on a Jewish fraternity house. Another example examines why flyers criticizing the Israeli government for demolishing Palestinian homes is similarly an issue. So they're equating swastikas with criticizing the Israeli government policy of destroying Palestinian homes and stealing their land. They want you to believe that those two things are equivalent. A third raises concerns over a hypothetical charge that a sponsored Israel trip is pro-apartheid propaganda. They want you to believe all of those things are anti-Semitism. So this is Northwestern, but this is schools across the country are implementing this type of insane struggle session, quote-unquote anti-Semitism propaganda that they're force-feeding to their students and their incoming freshmen in particular. And it's not only that, the number of schools, it's like 60-plus schools across the country that are being targeted right now by the Trump administration. And, you know, they've already extracted these multi-million-dollar, effectively like bribes from these colleges to get them to leave them alone. It doesn't work, too, by the way. I mean, Columbia paid them off, and it still didn't work. They didn't leave them alone. You know, you have them taking over the Middle Eastern Studies Department, the federal government basically taking over an entire department of study. Let's put D6 up on the screen, Brown University. Another one here, they struck a $50 million deal with the Trump administration over allegations of campus anti-Semitism. And Glenn Greenwald has been going to war with Stephen Miller over this all-out assault on free speech, specifically on college campuses. Let's go ahead and take a listen. This is D4, guys. Let's go ahead and take a listen to a little bit of what Glenn had to say.
Here's what he said above my tweet, quote, "This is just patently false. We have officials working continuously to identify, revoke, or deny foreigners visas who espouse hatred for America or its people. This is a top priority. College students who witness such contact can use the ICE tip line." So that's about whether they're deporting students who criticize Israel, and I'll get to that, but that's the thing I'm leaving aside. As for the issue about restricting the speech of American students and professors on campuses, he says, also, there is no, quote, speech code of any kind in the Columbia deal. There is an ironclad requirement with enforcement mechanisms to admit students based on actual merit and not illegal racial quotas, set aside, or preferences. Yes, that is in the deal. But the Trump administration also cajoled and coerced Columbia to adopt the IHRA definition, which severely attacks the free speech rights of American students at Columbia and professors by outlawing that long list of views I just showed you.
Sagar, I think it's interesting that Stephen Miller felt the need to respond to him on this stuff.
Yeah, I wonder. Look, I don't know. I have no idea why. I mean, it probably is getting to him because Stephen previously led a large legal fund that during the Biden administration that would challenge similar like DEI codes. And look, I mean, that's why, I mean, I'm coming from a place, I think, of principle. Like, I genuinely oppose all of this DEI racial training. A lot of the reason why that we are where we are. I would say a huge reason why Trump is president today is because of the backlash, especially if you want to talk about the demographic that I, think about a lot, which is like young men becoming right wing. This is a huge part of it. Dudes having to sit through this bullshit in college and in HR trainings, and they're like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done. And so this is just an extension of that. Now, one reason why I would say this is worse is I can't listen to people who have criticized the latter and then accept the former. So if I spend 10 years in a political project talking about we need equality above the law, with no more affirmative action, no more special treatment, no more DEI, no more special group, in-group, hatred, and then we flip it around and use it now, I just can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Like from Ben Shapiro and all these other folks. I'm
you
like,
have to admit this is worse, though. I mean,
I just can't go there.
But Sagar, hold on. Let me just make my case. kidnapping a student off the street for an op-ed criticizing.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right. Yeah.
that's why there is a use of the government here that goes beyond anything we've seen before. I mean, the number of investigations, the outright bribes, the taking over of departments, the deporting people based on wrongthink for a particular nation, the implementation of these DEI policies just for their chosen groups at schools. I mean, when you put it all together, it is like you said, it is maybe what Ibram X. Kendi would have implemented, but he didn't. There was no anti-racism department. Like, it is the fever dream of that, but realized in this incredibly authoritarian manner across the board. You have the fucking HHS with an anti-Semitism task force. Like, you have to acknowledge this goes beyond anything we saw.
It's complicated because I would say at a cultural level, like Me Too, BLM, and all that.
But in terms of government action.
So it's complicated because it felt actually more oppressive at the time because it was in private employment and it was backed up at various levels by the Obama and the Biden administration, but it was not fully enshrined to law. So I will absolutely grant you that. This time it's almost the reverse, where at a cultural level, like anti-Zionism or an anti-Israel position is like widespread and basically 70-80% popular, but the government is the one cracking. I'm not sure which is worse. They're both horrible.
I mean, I think you're right that culturally, they have tried to achieve a full-on cancel culture, and because it's just been such a backlash against it that they haven't been able to achieve. But I think back to, the sponsoring of those trucks with the names of students who were protesters trying to cancel and make sure they could never be employed, all of that. So, and certainly, in Hollywood, there's been a big price to pay if you were willing to speak out, especially early on, against Israeli actions. So in any case, but that's why I think if we focus on specific government actions, I think this goes far beyond. And Glenn, I believe, agrees with that.
No, look, he's right. Look, yes, it's true. No anti-BLM activist was ever deported by the Obama-Biden administration, okay? Like, I don't know, the guy who raped Mattress Girl, go and choke into that story. He did not even, I think he was a German national.
He was never kicked out of school.
He was, well, no, I think he suffered.
I don't think so.
He got his med school acceptance revoked. Look, again, that's a cultural thing, right? And by the way, he's 100% innocent, if everybody wants to.
And that was at Columbia, by the way.
That was at Columbia, yes, exactly, where Miss Mattress Girl hauled her I don't know why I'm still so upset about this.
But the reason she was continuing to be upset is because there wasn't action taken against him on campus.
Okay, sure. But my point is just, even 10 years later, it still scars me because that was like a widespread national story or whatever at the time. But you're right. There was never an effort by the Obama administration to come in and rewrite, the kangaroo codes. I mean, there was some, at least at a Title IX level.
They didn't take over any Columbia University
Nobody was getting fined.
No one was deported. No one was kicked out.
Or, I could go on forever. Rolling Stone or any of these other, hoaxes that all happened in the past. But yes, it's complicated because at a cultural level, it achieved massive dominance, but it was never backed up at a government level. In fact, though, I think the reason why it's being backed here at a government level is because they don't have the cultural power. If things were allowed to go in a private institution way, it would be very, very different. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.